Thank you for joining me for another episode of YQG in Bloom. I'm your host, Tracy Martins. Now, I created this podcast to highlight all of the small businesses and wonderful creative people we have in the Windsor, Essex County area. In order to keep this podcast going, I'd like you to press pause right now and hit the follow or subscribe button, and that way we can continue to shine a light on our community. Our guest today is fascinating. He's been in Ironman competitions. He does long distance cycling, mountain biking, and anything that revolves around a bicycle. He's also created some amazing sport nutrition drinks as well as a protein iced coffee. I would like to introduce you to Darcy Haggith. He is the creator and the owner of Gruppo Nutrition as well as Polar Joe.
It's nice to be here.
Oh, thank you
Thanks
so
for having
much.
me.
Now, I was talking to you and listening to some other interviews you've done, and you traveled quite a path in order to get Gruppo out and going. Why don't you give us a little insight into how it started?
Sure. We could probably fill an hour with that. It really evolved around Ironman competitions. I did a bunch of those. The first Ironman you do is kind of, you're just learning, what did I get into? Didn't really race it, just survived it. You get a little bit better each year, more experience, you're better trained. And by my third year in Ironman, my nutrition was holding me back. It was a clear limiter to my performance. So I wasn't able to get enough calories in to support what I was trying to achieve. So maybe not all your listeners will know what Ironman is, but it's a long distance triathlon. We cycle, we swim first, 4.2 kilometers.
Wow.
Then we cycle 180 kilometers. And then we run a full marathon, which is 42 kilometers. So
How long does that take?
Well, there's professionals that do it around 8 hours, and some are even faster. Most age group athletes are probably between, maybe 10 to 14 hours. My best was 10:45. My first one was about 13 and a half hours. And
Wow.
So you're out there for a long time. And what you're trying to do with Ironman is really nourish your body and conserve energy. So you've got enough energy to run the last half marathon. So it's really, if you're an age group athlete, that's the way you're doing it. If you're a pro, maybe you're trying to race the whole thing. But back to your question, I wasn't fueled properly. I went searching. I found this company in the US called Infinite Nutrition. They were getting really strong reviews on what they were doing on some of the forums. So this predates Facebook and all the social media we have. I think there's more of a flow of information today than there was back then. I just heard good things, so I tried them. Started using their product, I think in 2005, used it successfully for that race.
Now, I'm going to stop you.
Yeah.
What exactly is that product?
That's a good question. So it's a powdered nutrition that you add to water. So it's got all your carbohydrates, 3 different sources of carbohydrates, some protein, some electrolytes, everything you need to keep going for the long haul in an endurance event. So you just take these 2 scoops of the powder, put it in 600 mils of water, shake it up, and I'd typically take about 1 of those an hour while I was out there. So they're about 300 calories per hour. That was kind of the start of it. I used the product as a customer for 2 years, and then there was a little bit of a mishap, a customer service issue. My product got stuck at the border. And then I called them and said, hey, I'm really nervous because this is all I know for my nutrition. I really lean on it. And I'm asking him, well, where's my product? He says, don't worry, we're going to be at the expo in Lake Placid. We'll bring your nutrition with us and you'll have it for a race day. So I met him at the expo, the owner of the company, Michael Folan. And we just had a little bit of a chat. And to be honest, I can't remember the exact details. I was happily in the pharmaceutical industry. I worked for Pfizer. I was working here at a company called AccuCaps, and things were really good. I wasn't looking for anything. But there was something there that just caught my attention. Like I kind of romanticized about, hey, wouldn't it be cool if I made my livelihood being involved in the very thing that I love, endurance sports.
Exactly.
So we went and kicked the tires. We saw the business in Cincinnati, Ohio, and just a couple months later, in November of that same year, so this is 2006, we opened our doors for our business, and we slowly grew it. For the first 5 or 6 years, I was still, a senior leader at AccuCaps. So I had a full-time, role, 10 hours a day. I was very loyal to them. And we built the business. I had some production folks and had a little bit of help on the marketing side, but most of it was me trying to drum up business. And I did that before I went to work,
Goodness.
On my lunch, weekends, whatever it took, and even made product back then. Like that, you just do what you have to do to get it going. We were very fortunate. I remember being on lunch one day, I got a call from a sport dietitian, sport nutritionist from Victoria. Her name's Susan Bogman. And she works with our high performance athletes through an organization called Canadian Sport Institute. And she was looking for help for her athletes. They wanted to provide a program that would give them the various products that they would need to support all different sports. So we're talking rowing, rugby, athletics, winter sports, strength training, and it had to be clean with respect to banned substances. So we had never done any work there, but I said, give me a couple weeks. We can see if, look into it and see if we can kind of create a program that makes sense for you, for the athletes, that's safe, and it still makes sense to us as a business. Like, we're not a charity, clearly.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure that we could do something with this. It would be viable for our business. And it turned out to be extremely viable. So they're paying customers. Of course, we do what we can to support our athletes, but it's a much more expensive process than what we do on an everyday basis.
It sounded like the market was really lacking, because I know you have your protein drinks and you have your electrolytes, but it doesn't sound like there was a lot that combined everything for the high endurance.
Well, at the time, there was some other great companies. Hammer Nutrition comes to mind. There was other sports nutrition companies, but specifically in that space for our Canadian athletes, our elite athletes that were tested, there was nothing that they felt comfortable about that, was safe, tested, and really was going to fuel the athletes. So we got a lucky break that they called us. We put a program together for them, and it went across Canada, and we're still, partnered today. So that relationship was super important to us because, well, obviously there's some pride. I love that I get to fuel some of the best athletes in Canada. Yeah. Like, you see a medal and you go, oh, we had a small part in that. But more importantly, any of that is that we learned so much along the way. So we get to work alongside of, the top nutritionists in Canada, physiologists, the athletes themselves, the coaches, and all of that work together. We put that knowledge back into our products, and those are the products that we offer our customers today. So it was a big break for us, and it really established us working with recovery drinks and protein, and the value of the right protein, not just any protein. So it really shaped us as an organization, and we still learn from them today, and we'll take those learnings and put them in the products we make tomorrow.
Now, how did you go from selling that product and being affiliated with them to creating Gruppo?
Yeah, so we were happily, going along the way with Infinite. We were a licensee of that company, and it gave us a start and a foundation. I went full-time in 2013. I left my pharmaceutical career. It was a scary time.
Definitely.
I was paid very well. I wouldn't say it was a golden handcuff or anything like that, but I was paid well, never thought about, my income at all. And then, when I went full-time, it's like, wow. My accountant said you can only make $45,000 a year. So that's where we put my salary. And it turned out we couldn't even cash those checks initially. So I really had to get busy and sell, learn how to sell, learn how to talk to customers and such. That was the start. And then we continued to grow that business. And we reached a point fairly recently where we felt like we just didn't see the world the same way as the team at Infinite in the US. We had different views. Not to say that our views are better than the team theirs views. We just reached a point where we felt like we were better off if we went our separate ways. Yeah. So we made a decision to do that in July of 2021. Coming off of a really challenging time, that's the pandemic affected a lot of us, but we were happy to move forward, and we relaunched or rebranded in March of this past year. So it's not even a full year yet. So we're super excited to be our own entity under Gruppo Nutrition.
One of my questions is, how does Gruppo allow the athletes to go the distance, to go that extra mile without putting the stress and strain that you had in the Ironman competition?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's a component of really learning. Certainly we make great products. They're formulated in a way that we use 3 different carbohydrate sources, so they're always going to be at a concentration that can be easily absorbed. So once they get in your stomach, there's some really technical terms, but let's just say they get in your stomach and they get out of your stomach really quickly, gastric emptying, so that's good. They're complete, so they've got electrolytes, the carbohydrates, and some protein where it makes sense. But we also educate the consumer. We do webinars, we do nutritional consults. It's very important for us to make certain that our athletes, our customers know how to use the product. And we always start not with nutrition, we start with hydration first.
Oh, for sure.
Because if someone doesn't have their hydration right, no matter how much of our product they use, if their hydration isn't spot on, they're not going to perform anywhere close to their potential.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's always number one for anybody. How many products are on the Gruppo line? Does it go by sports events or?
Yeah, we have blends by sport and intensity. So we have our intensity blends or high intensity blends. We've got one called Power that serves hot yoga, cycling, more like short distance, high intensity cycling, running, anything like the HIIT style of workout. And then our endurance line, we have run, ride, and we also have a hockey product called Ice in there. Then we have our everyday lineup. That's where it's really all about protein. So proteins to augment a real food diet. We never want to be a company that says, hey, you should be eating all of our products. Like, it's not about that. It's about real food.
Yes.
And then using a protein product that we would offer to augment, to get you to a certain level of protein in your diet. And then the last group of products that we have would be for recovery. And we have 2 main recovery blends. One is for endurance. So carbs to protein ratio is a little bit different in that one versus that's called repair versus rescue, which is more for strength and conditioning. So when you're tapping into the strength systems a little bit more, you need a little bit more protein and less carbohydrates in that blend.
I never realized how much goes into these products. Like every sport, they have a different need. And you guys are really covering it all, which is amazing for us in Canada. Like you said, a lot of the really good products are in the States and we have a hard time getting them over here. So it's amazing that you were able to bring that to us. Now, can anybody take Gruppo? Like if you're, say, walking or just doing low impact, do you guys have something for the everyday exerciser?
We do. But I'm the first to admit, I mean, we had someone in the storefront, a cyclist from the community, David, earlier today, and he asked me about an hour's workout. And I'm really honest with this stuff. Like, you don't need sports nutrition if you're doing an hour workout. If it's, lower intensity, just rely on your real food. Take real food, get your nutrition through that. Only when you're going a little bit longer and maybe it's a little bit more intense, do you need to be reaching for a sports nutrition product like Ride or Run. And then on the recovery process side of things, only when you're going for a little bit longer than 90 minutes or 2 hours should you reach for one of those blends.
Oh, that's great. Now, can we find these products in other stores, or are they just available through you and your website?
We certainly service, all of Canada rather. Now North America, we're really proud to be into the States.
Oh, wow.
And we do most of that through e-commerce. We do have some partners. We typically will partner with a reseller that is maybe providing fitness, so group fitness, like a CrossFit gym, maybe it's a spin studio, that type of thing. We do really well in those spaces, some wellness markets. We're still working hard to get out there.
Yeah.
One of our bigger customers is Movati Athletics. So we have a beautiful Movati gym here.
Yes.
It's really one of the best in class. It's one of the best brands in Canada. And they have 16 locations presently, and we're in every one of those.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So we do our cold brew. That's how the relationship started on the protein coffee. That started in 2017, but now they've taken on all of our flavored proteins. So we do a raw in vanilla, chocolate, and cookies and cream. They're now using all of our protein in their shakes, which is a big deal for us. We're really grateful for the partnership. We're proud of it, and we continue to try to earn their trust, which so far everything's going well.
Oh, wonderful. You are doing a Gruppo ride. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think we know by now that I do a lot of endurance cycling. I typically will ride anywhere between 13,000 to 15,000 kilometers a year. So love my bike. It's where I sort a lot of stuff out. I really believe that we need to keep moving to keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm 55, and I believe that I'll cycle better tomorrow than I am right now. So I'm still improving. And I create these challenges to, they're kind of selfish. It might sound bad, but I want to create a group. I want to inspire others to reach their limits, maybe go a little bit further than they've ever gone before, but also create that community that will help inspire me personally. So Gruppo Great Canadian Cycling Challenge it's done virtually. And it can be done indoors and outdoors. So there's an environment that us cyclists, interact on. It's called Zwift. It allows us to put our bikes on these trainers, and it's as close to riding outdoors as you can get. So the bike resistance changes as you're going up a hill in the virtual environment. So it's very realistic. You can be tomorrow morning. I'll be in a group ride at 7 o'clock with a group in Halifax. I'll be here in Windsor, also virtual. We have our ESR cycling group. We'll all be together, cycling together on a course. So we get to interact, we get to text with one another. So it's really cool. We're in a really cold environment now, but we get to be together. So doing these indoor rides, they go into this other app called Strava. We can track all of our miles and how much we've climbed for indoor rides and outdoor rides. So all those miles get calculated each week, and we see where people are along this journey across Canada. And the route that we picked is 12,536 kilometers, and it goes from Whitehorse down through BC and across the country to Cape Spear, Newfoundland.
Now, how many people are participating in this?
Yeah, we still have people coming on board. We have 160 so far. So 160 people have committed to doing some distance. So not everybody's committed to doing the whole thing. And that's exactly what I want it to be. I want them to pick a province, a goal that is right for their fitness level and challenges them a little bit, maybe stretches them a little bit. But I don't want anybody to do something that they're not ready for.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. But it'll force them to go a little bit extra, and it gives them a sense of accomplishment when they actually do that.
Absolutely. We just posted, we have this big map in my office, and it's basically, it's 8 feet by 6 feet. It's a laminated map of Canada, and the route is traced out, and we show each individual their initials. They all have their own magnet, and we're showing where they are going across the country. So right now we're all bunched. Most of us are bunched either in the Yukon or in BC.
Well, when did it start?
It started January 1st.
Oh, okay.
So we have a couple riders like at crazy distances. So Ben Merritt is kind of a local guy known for going really long. And he's already at about 1,650 kilometers so far this year.
Wow.
So mind blowing. I'm inspired by that. I know that that's not within my reach for, what I want to do on a bike. But it does inspire me. And I know after this session, I'm going to go ride my bike a little bit so I can get a little bit more in.
It's a little friendly competition.
Absolutely.
For everybody. It helps push each other.
Yeah, and the feedback we've got from this has been amazing, and that's all I hope to do is inspire people to keep moving, because I really believe that if we move and we nourish our bodies properly, that most of what ails us kind of goes away.
Oh, it's true. It's true. Now, we're going to talk about the other product that he has, and it's called Polar Joe, and it is the best of both worlds, I'd like to say. It has your protein and coffee. So tell us, how did you come about with the Polar Joe?
Yeah, so it comes back to one of our base ingredients, our protein. We use an extremely high-end whey protein isolate. It's got next to no lactose in it. It's so low that someone that's lactose intolerant can drink the product or use this protein. The other nice thing about the protein is, other than the nutritionals are really strong, is the taste is so clean. So sometimes when people try a whey protein, they're maybe they say it's a bit chalky, or it's got this taste.
The aftertaste.
Yeah, that is not present with the protein we use. And I always play around, and this is at home. I'm a big coffee guy. I've got a Seiko coffee maker, and I'd press the button for a couple shots of espresso. And I was putting 20 grams of protein in it with a bit of cream and maple syrup, and it just turned out to be the best iced coffee. So we had a pool, and I have lots of friends and family coming over, and we would serve that up, and it kind of became this favorite. And this goes back to probably 2014, 2015.
Oh, wow.
And I sat on it for a long time. It didn't even dawn on me to make it into a real product. And what I mean by real is make it a dry product where someone can just take this. We don't have to add it to coffee. Let's put everything in there that you need. Just add it to water and you're good to go. And that's what we've come up with. So it's a very simple product. It's got real coffee, about 110 milligrams of caffeine. It's got 21 grams of protein, organic coconut sugar, and a non-dairy creamer.
And I know you also have some that are sugar-free.
We do. We have one. It's a low sugar version, and we use, instead of the organic coconut sugar, what we use is stevia. So it's still got a great sweetness, note. It's good, but for those that don't want any sugar, then it's a good alternative. I will say that Polar Joe was. If you look at some of the iced coffees available on the market today, like if you go to McDonald's or Tim's or something, they're very high in sugar, like 22, 23 grams.
They're insane. And
then they've got 2 or 3 grams of protein. So we set out to flip it. We wanted protein first, and we'll just add enough organic coconut sugar to make it sweet enough. And we ended up at 9 grams of sugar, which we think is a pretty good place to start.
Oh, it is. Now, the Gruppo came before the Polar Joe.
Yes.
What made you decide to do the Polar Joe?
Yeah, when we were in the middle of our rebrand, we knew we were going to have this brand Gruppo. Should we integrate our coffee products into that site? Or should we do something different? And the reason we wanted to do something different is what we found is this product appeals to so many different populations. So you don't have to identify as an athlete to use this product. So my mom, she's 76. She drinks it every day.
Oh, nice.
You have people, just healthy living folks, maybe they're in school, they need a natural way of getting caffeine in their system and a little bit of protein. So we didn't want to bore them with athletic jargon. So if we had a site, if they go to Gruppo, they might not feel comfortable there. Polar Joe is, we think that they'll feel comfortable there. It's a lifestyle brand, and we've dropped all the athletic jargon. So it's just about protein coffee.
Can that be made hot, or is it just strictly cold?
It can, and you have to be a bit careful. With a whey protein isolate, you can't heat it above 70 degrees C. So if you were to add this to boiling water, it would change the shape of the protein, and it would be a little bit off-putting. It would still be nutritious, but you wouldn't like the texture of it. We've actually just found out in the last month and a half from our customers, they're using, are you familiar with those frothers for milk that heat? So what some of our customers are doing is they take water, start it on the frother, put a couple scoops of this in, and it heats it, and it turns it off before 70 degrees. It's what I do every morning. So that's how I start my morning. I take some hot water, hot tap water, put the frother on, and I actually use 3 scoops because my target's 30 grams in the morning. And that's how I enjoy my cup of coffee every morning before I go off to start my day.
Would you classify this also as a meal replacement for some people that maybe are trying to watch their weight a little bit?
Yeah.
It still gives them what they need until, say, lunch or dinner.
In the strict sense, we could never claim this as a meal replacement because I come from, the supplement world, like pharmaceuticals and such, and there's some regulations. So you have to have certain levels of minerals, certain levels of the vitamins to have it be considered as a true meal replacement. So you'd never live on this stuff, but certainly as a breakfast, if you don't have time for a real breakfast and you want something that's balanced, it's going to satiate you, this is a perfect alternative.
Well, because you do have some of those shakes that are supposed to be a meal replacement, but they don't really tide you over. And I think having 21 grams of protein should do the trick, at least until you can get to your next meal, get through school to lunch.
Absolutely. Our grandmothers used to say, don't skip breakfast.
No.
Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And I truly believe in that, if we go to bed, let's say we go to bed at 10 o'clock, we probably stopped eating at 8. So we're going all the way from 8 o'clock. We're going through our sleep cycle. We wake up and we've already fasted for 10, 12 hours. If we skip that meal, we don't get any protein in that meal, then we go all the way to noon until we get our first bit of protein. And that's not a good way to, hold on to our muscle mass, especially as we age. As we age, like it or not, our ability to use protein is reduced. It doesn't mean we can't build muscle and retain our muscle. It just means that we have to take a little bit more to hold on to the muscle mass that we have. And holding on to the muscle mass just allows us to do what we've always done, to move and live.
Listening to another podcast that you had done, you spoke about the different types of protein and how special the protein is that you deal with your Polar Joe. Can you give us a little hint or how that goes?
Yeah, there's different classes of, if we're talking animal-based protein, and whey isolate is the most popular, or whey protein is the most popular. There's whey protein, then there's whey concentrate, which has to be between 80 and 90% purity. And then a whey isolate has to be 90% purity. We use a whey isolate, but we use the very best in class whey isolate. It's at 94% pure.
Wow.
So what that means is you're getting the most of the amino acids, the key ingredients, the key building blocks to muscle, for growth and repair. But you're getting less of all the other things that you want. So when we talk about lactose, there's no lactose in it. There's, some of the things that would give the off flavors have all been removed. And it's not a cheap protein.
No.
We put more money into our raw materials than a lot of the other companies. So we won't likely be able to sell in a big box store because they're always want to run through a distributor. So by the time you pay a distributor, you pay the retailer what they want, and still, make a buck for yourself. We could never price the product at the, a place
the
that
price
a
would be
customer
through the roof.
Exactly.
And you have to pay for quality.
Yeah.
And if it's healthy and it's going to help maintain your integrity in your body and not be harmful, to me, it's worth it.
Yeah, and to be honest, we're very competitively priced to the other proteins on the market. Yes, you can go to Costco and buy one that's cheaper than our protein. It's not on the same level of purity and quality, but we're reasonably priced in the market. If we were through a distributor model, that would change, and we have to be overpriced. So that's why you probably won't see us in the big boxes, and we tend to create the relationships that we do, like a Movati type relationship, because they're happy with the margin they make, we're happy with what we retain, and the end consumer's happy.
Oh, great. Now I have noticed that we also have matcha for the people that aren't fans of coffee.
Yeah, so we continue and have always listened to our customers. So when we first came out with our cold brew, some folks said, well, I'm not a coffee person, can you do anything? And we started playing around with matcha, ceremonial matcha tea, green tea, has excellent antioxidant properties.
Oh, I love
And we
matcha.
felt that if we could blend that, so if we could replace the coffee with the matcha, and pull that off, that would be a really good drink. And matcha is a very subtle flavor, and I think it really speaks to the quality of the protein, that you can make a matcha drink with 21 grams of protein. Wow. And that's what matcha is all about. It's still catching on. The people that know and love matcha is far smaller than coffee, but I think matcha will grow to be a really popular product choice.
For sure.
For folks.
And it is sweetened with?
It's almost exactly the same as the cold brew. So again, it uses organic coconut sugar.
Okay.
All we've done with these two blends is we've swapped out the coffee with the ceremonial matcha tea. And with that tea, the green tea we use, it comes with about 71 milligrams of caffeine. So there's still a little bit of caffeine, not quite as much as our cold brew, which is 110. But people should know that there's still a bit of caffeine in it.
Now, other than Movati, whereabouts online can people purchase this if they're interested?
So if it's online, we invite them to come, directly to us. So if it's on the Gruppo side of things, grupponutrition.com. If it's Polar Joe, polarjoe.com.
And you do have a location here in Windsor?
Yeah, we do. We're just on McDougall, just north of Tecumseh. There's a plaza there that we have about 3,000 square feet there. We do a lot of our own manufacturing. We have a storefront. And, some of our products have truly scaled, and we just don't have the capacity to do them in-house anymore, which is exactly what we wanted to happen.
That's perfect.
We don't necessarily want to be, we manufacture well. I know the pharmaceutical space. I know how to do this, but I don't want to be the best manufacturer. What I want to do is provide very good service, customer service. I want to be known as a really good formulator, and I want to be good at branding and marketing. And those are all
the
things.
Best product.
Yes, and that's what I mean by formulating.
Yeah.
I think if you know the science a little bit and follow the science, by the partners and the people that you get to work with, I think you can put together really good products.
Oh, and it looks like it. From what I've heard, from what I've read, it's an amazing product. I am not an endurance cyclist or CrossFitter, so I haven't had a chance to try the products yet. But I definitely think I am going to be trying this matcha because it looks amazing. And I have to say, this has been fascinating. And I thank you so much for being on our episode today.
Oh, no problem. It's a pleasure. I think, I love talking about this stuff. We're super excited about what we do and the people that we get to work with and help. So
and it helps you're passionate about it, which means that it's always going to have top quality. And,
there's a statement that I've made for a long time. And I just want to continue to earn the right to do what I do. So I don't, we'll see what happens with the brand, but I'm comfortable. I don't make the sort of money I did in the pharmaceutical industry. That's fine. I'm happy growing this brand and being associated and surrounded by the people I get to be with every day.
As long as you get to keep your cycling and you have that group cycle going and you're making these wonderful products, I know I appreciate you, and I'm sure Windsor and any of the cyclists and athletes in Canada appreciate you as well.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you so much again. I'm very happy to have Darcy with us. My name is Tracy Martins, and thank you so much for joining me for another episode of YQG and Bloom.